Hi, I'm Nate, and you're watching Photolearningism. Let's answer the burning question, how do you create vector animation and pull it in KDEnlive and continue to work with it seamlessly? Let's do that. All right, so first things first, going to introduce a new tool that we haven't talked about today, which is called Glaxnimate. I think Glaxnimate, something like that. The doesn't quite roll off the tongue, but it is. That's what it is. The title is up here, Glaxnimate. It is a tool specifically designed for creating vector-based animation or graphics, as it were. You could do just still vector-based graphical design in this, but the animation aspect is very interesting. If it were by itself, that alone would be really cool because that's a free open source tool that you can use for designing animations, and it includes kind of a timeline editor and I'm going to say somewhat node-based approach here. It's not quite the map you'd normally see, but it's by property, which is really useful because as you're manipulating an object, or really a canvas for that matter in some case, you can just drop objects into it and have those settings kind of roll into it, which is why I say it's kind of a node-based approach. It's really cool. So this tool can take some getting used to, in that the instructions are a little loose. I had to play with it a little bit to figure out how to get keyframes working, and I'll just walk this step through very quickly, in that there's this button here which is for recording. Anytime you actually want to start working with keyframes, you have to start the recorder, and you'll see down below here where it says recording, and you'd have to add your keyframes and kind of approximate what you want to do with it. Doesn't have to be exact because you can move the keyframes later, but you do kind of have to decide a little bit what you want to do, and you can see how that took, and now I'm going to stop. All right, so now we have that mapped in. It will let you add keyframes without hitting record, but they don't really do anything, which is a little strange, I'll say. But once you know about, you have to start and stop and use that to capture the change, it starts to make a bit more sense. So it can also be a little bit confusing to drill into the individual properties, but you start to get used to them. And actually, as you record and make changes, it will drop those in the right container for you. You just have to expand and see sometimes where they end. So one of the other features I just really wanted to highlight very quickly in this is this tool's use of layers, where you don't have to work all within the same canvas or even just purely by object. It does allow you to sort by individual layers, which is really kind of groundbreaking in this approach of things. You can work among those and still maintain those individual properties and group things, and it's a much more efficient way to work, especially as you're going to be animating on this level. So good thing to use for your purposes and to build your objects. So that's creating a basic animation. You can play with the number of frames, and there's a lot of settings in here. I don't want to go too terribly deep because those are things that weren't that hard to figure out. Really getting the animation bit was the toughest part of it. So now that we have this together, the way that you would bring it into something else to get more use out of this, because this alone is pretty cool. You do have a lot of control here with the other tools, by the way, where if you wanted to manipulate individual points, freehand draw something, that's really cool because you can create your own custom shapes and things. That's all here. All right, so have a look at that, try it out. That kind of control is fairly intuitive. But now that we have, let's just say, our animation piece, what you would do is export it. All right, now I've already started a project file, and really the thing that works best in my case with KDEnlive, I'm going to show you how to bring it into that, is the .json type, .json, JSON. And that is a friendly format that works within KDEnlive, and it actually will read the vector file, it will read the animation, and it will allow you to put that as an object on the timeline. So I'm going to update the one that I already have working. In fact, I'll show you what's going on right now. I had a previous working JSON file here, and this was a really simple thing where it kind of changed opacity, and you can see it moving across the screen. They did a lot of improvements over the last release or two with KDEnlive, where you can update a file that you already have in a project, and it will automatically import that without causing a read conflict or corrupting your file, which is really cool. So I'm going to leave this open. We're going to jump back here into Glaxnimate, and I'm going to do that export to the file I'm working with. All right, that is now exported, and also I'm going to save it. It does have its own native file type to work with this, which I'd recommend because it's like saving your project file within this tool. So I'm going to do that too. And then I'm going to hop back over to KDEnlive. And now you can see how this has now changed to include that rotation in the project. No errors, nothing went wrong. It was just really easy to work with. So this part of it's really kind of the really quick and easy because I've already created the file. I can bring it in here and use it, and I'll highlight that it respects the properties of the file. You can see I didn't have to do anything special to keep like the background transparency. That's all baked into the JSON file, and it made it really easy to create an animation and bring in here and also update the animation as I needed to. That can be really handy for tutorials such as what I'm doing right now, or for other explanations for scientific breakdowns where you need to demonstrate things by graphical illustration, or by vector animation in this case. The vector graphics make it very friendly to manipulate and move by axes. So that's really the whole gist of this. I would recommend that you get this program because right now it's very friendly to KDEnlive and it is free. Along with the caveats that I mentioned for learning how to use the tool, the rest came very intuitively, and there's some real good potential and power that you can leverage with these free tools to really enhance your ability to create things, but also to tell stories. So one quick note I do want to throw in here is that if you're interested in helping to support the channel, because I do my best to keep these things free and to offer them to you at no charge, it would be a great help to have a look at my Patreon page. I'll put a link in the description below. No obligation, no pressure. But if you'd like to consider making a donation, I do have some perks and things that are on that page for the moment to offer my thanks for supporting this channel if that's something you'd like to do. So check out the link, and thanks for being a part of this great channel. I hope that's helpful, and if it is, please give me a thumbs up so I can know if this was useful to you. Also consider subscribing if you haven't done that already, and leave a comment, ask a question so we can explore things and learn new things together, and I will see you at the next video.